Hello and welcome to our webinar. This is a part 2 of our Reports Masterclass, where together we'll explore how reports empower your training and provide admins with the data you need to drive your training strategy forward. I'm Irini, Customer Enablement Consultant, and I will be your host today, but I'm not alone here. I will host this webinar alongside my teammate, Nick.
Hello there, I'm Nick. I'm also a member of the Customer Enablement team. And as Irene said before, together we're here to help you become masters on reports.
And before we move on here, just a reminder, this webinar is recorded and will be sent out to you all by email once it's over. So feel free to share it and keep your eyes on your mailbox. And a live Q&A will take place during the session. Our own Theo will be answering all your questions in the background, and some of them will also be answered live by us. So feel free to use your Q&A button in order to answer your questions. And of course, you can find those buttons at your meeting controls on your screen. So let's get started. As I said, this will be part 2 of the masterclass in reporting. Part 1 is already on our webinar page. Theo will post the link on the chat in a few moments. And in today's part, we'll focus on admins. So let's check our agenda. We'll start with the ready-made reports that help an admin oversee the training progress. Then we'll continue demonstrating how to build your own custom reports. And last, we'll discuss infographics and how to visualize your data. And as always, the live Q&A will follow. And in order to get started, let me just log into my portal, and I'm going to bring that forward here. I hope that you all see my screen. So as you all see, I'm already logged in as an admin. The admins, as you already know, are responsible for every aspect of the site. Therefore, on their own dashboard, there's a dedicated button for the reports. So when I click it, the first thing I see is the overview of the entire training progress of my entire system. I can see some mini statistics here about how many active users I have in my system, how many users never logged in, how many assigned courses I have, and how many completed courses. And of course, the graph that will show me the logins and the course completions in different colors. Of course, this is a graph that you can definitely follow up daily, weekly, monthly, or you can also specify the period of time. Now, if you want to have access in this entire training progress report, the export button is here. And of course, as always, this is something that we mentioned on part 1, but it's worth mentioning in this part 2. Right next to every export button, there's this little arrow that will lead us to the schedule functionality. And what is the schedule functionality? If you have a report that you would like to follow up frequently, you don't need to jump into TalentLMS every time to download it. You can simply click here, hit the schedule button, and then from here you can set up the frequency, how this report will be, when actually this report will be sent out to your mailbox. You can set up this frequency weekly or monthly, and you can select the day. So if, for example, I want to receive this report every week on a Wednesday, I can set up the frequency like this, click the schedule button, and this report will be sent out to my mailbox every week on a Wednesday. Now, what if I want to share this report with other people? I don't need to forward that report to them. I can simply click on the custom recipients, add those email addresses here separated with a space, and then that's it. And the good news, those email addresses don't need to have any TalentLMS account. So you don't need to train any other people for the system, how the system works. You don't need to send those emails yourself. You just add your emails here, click the schedule button, and that's it. They will be receiving the report. A note here, as long as you use the custom recipients, just keep in mind that nothing will be sent out to you automatically. However, what you can do if you want to receive this report as well, just add your email address in this area here. And just to give you an example of how this report looks like, because if you click the export button, basically it will not be downloaded. It will be sent out to your email because it's a really big report. I have it here open. So just to give you a sample of this report. Okay, I'm having, for some reason the window is not opening, but let me troubleshoot later on, and I will make sure to give you a sample of this and how it will look like later on. So let's continue until I fix this. Now, apart from the training progress report, what else do we see here? Well, as an admin, you are responsible, as we said, for every aspect of the site. Therefore, you can also access any reports that the instructor can access. So as you can see here, we have course reports. And if I click quickly on the course reports, you can see the entire list of all the course reports that TalentLMS has. And some mini statistics about the total number of courses we have in the system, the assigned learners, the completed learners, learners in progress, and the training time. And of course, for each course report, we have the category that this course belongs to, the number of assigned learners, and how many learners have completed the report. So if I click on this report, for example, what I see is the overview tab, where I can have the overall training progress for this course. Some mini statistics again here with the number of assigned learners, completed learners, learners in progress, and the total training time, and of course the graph of the activity. Then there is the tab of users. So I have access to the entire list of users that have been assigned to these courses, and I can also check who is a learner and who is an instructor because the role will be labeled here. The progress, the score, completion date, time, if they have any certificate earned, and of course, any custom user fields that you have made visible in reports. And since I have access to the entire list of users, there's also the funnel here that will allow me to filter by branch or by group if I want to narrow down the results a bit. Then we have test and score reports and assignment reports. So if you have any units that evaluate the user, or if you have a survey unit to collect feedback, again, you will have access to the respective reports also through here. And last but not least, the unit matrix. This is the type of report that will give you a quick look of the training status within the course. We have here the list of users and here the list of units that this course has. And of course, the different colors here will show you the different status. Green for completed, orange for in progress, red for failed. And again, the funnel here to allow me to filter by branch or by group. Now, for each of those reports, of course, there's the export button to download it, either the unit matrix or the entire training progress report. And of course, there's also the schedule functionality as well available. Now, if I go back to the reports and scroll a little bit down, you can see that there are some test reports, survey reports, assignments, and ILTs. And this is one of the benefits that the admin has. They have direct access to this type of reports. So they don't need to follow the path where they need to access the course and then through the course report access a test report, for example. So this is like a shortcut for the admins to have direct access to these reports. And just to give an example, if I click on a test report, I can see the entire list of test reports I can find in the system and some mini statistics about the number of tests, the number of attempts, and how many people have passed. And of course, I can see for each test how many people have completed it and how many have passed it. And of course, the button to reset the progress. So for example, if I click in this test report really quick, I can check the overview where I can see the execution of answers, the result for each user, the score, my custom user fields, and of course, through this magnifying glass, I can check the individual answers and print them. And I can also check the analysis tab so I can see the answer distribution here and the first and last attempt. And again, the export button is available. So if I go back, you can see that the export button is available and the schedule functionality as well. I'm not going to access the rest of the reports. This is something that we have discussed in detail in part one, which the link is posted in the chat. And with that said, I think that it's time to pass the floor to Nick, because I think that he has more reports to share with us. That is more admin reports.
Yeah, absolutely, Rini. So let me share my screen here. And if I did everything correctly, you should be able to see my screen. Now, just as before, just as Irini was just showing, actually, I'm logged in as an administrator. Now, the important thing is that Irini already went through basically the types of reports that we have available for the admin, but pretty much she covered things that we've already seen in one way or another as being available from the instructor as well. What I want to show you though now are the admin reports that are admin exclusive. So essentially, we want to talk about the preset reports we have in our system, which are created exclusively for the admins. As you see, I'm an admin. I've gone to my reports part of the platform. And what are we going to start with? Well, we have the user reports. So if I click on the user reports, you're going to get pretty much what you expect. A list of all of my users. You see, we have 428 users here, and I can actually grab reports for whichever of them I want. On the top, I have kind of a small breakdown in regards to what is the situation here. So I see I have 428 learners. I have so many course assignments, so many courses are completed, and my overall courses who are in progress and the total training time. I also see my users, and of course, you can sort based on their name, or maybe I want to sort based on their user type. I can see their last login, and then I can see the courses, the amount of courses that were assigned, the amount of courses they completed. And if you see here, I also have my custom user fields. I know you didn't mention this before, but here they are, location, department, manager, all up. And these are the custom user fields that I have actually created. And we opted to have this show up on our reports. So it kind of makes sense that they are here. Now, let's say we want to find out more about Blake, for example. Super easy, just click on this name. And as you see, we are into a user report specifically about Blake. So I see an overview. Maybe I can see the profile picture of the person, his name, he's a learner, his email address. And I can see that he has 11 courses in progress and 11 completed. This is his overall training time, the amount of badges and the points they're having. These are from gamification, as well as their overall activity. Again, you can sort this with different time periods, a nice donut chart with an overview of what's happening, and of course, my different gamification options here in terms of badges and how do you compare to other learners with the gamification feature. Also here, we can see the courses, and Blake has been assigned to quite a bit of courses. I can see that it's here. I can sort via progress, for example. Workstation ergonomics, as it was completed with a 100% score. I can actually click on that to see all the different units that were inside the course. I can see the date they were enrolled and the day they completed it and how much time it took them to do so. In here I have the tests as well. Now, I know Blake has participated in a couple of tests. So if I want, for example, to see specifics about this test, I see the name of the test and the name of the course, the date and the time they took the test. Indeed, they passed with an 80% score, took them 36 seconds to answer. And if I click on the magnifying glass, I can actually see their answers to all the questions in the specific test. And don't forget, if I just want these answers, I can click on print. And now my system will attempt to actually print this. So if I want this in a printed format, by all means, I can do it. What else can we see? Well, I can see SCORM files. So if I have SCORM files that my learner was graded on, I can see them here. I can see their participation in surveys. And again, little magnifying glass, I can click on that and get more information what they replied. I can see their assignments. So here's different assignments. I see they passed them. And of course, I can actually see grades as well. I can use the magnifying glass to see the answer, for example. So this is the answer. And if I want to, I can always click here to see what the instructor replied. Also, Blake has a couple of certificates, which I can see here. By clicking on the certificate icon, you can get a preview of the certificate this person was allocated. And it takes a bit of time to load, but there it is eventually. So this was awarded to Blake for behavior-based safety. I can see the date it was issued, for example. Now this one doesn't expire, but if it did, I would see an expiration date here. And you have the ability to download the certificate. and maybe you want to use that in conjunction to some sort of cloud storage solution. So you can download it and put it there, or maybe keep it in a local drive. Also, I have the badges and the timeline for my learner. Again, the timeline is the history, so I can see the full history in regards to my learner. Now, this is something for those of you that were in the previous webinar together with us when we talked about reporting. And this might actually ring a bell, the specific user report that I'm seeing. This is because essentially when the admin goes to the user reports and they select the user, this is pretty much the same as a learner. So I'm going to swap myself over to a learner, clicking progress. So you see pretty much the same view that a learner would see if they would go in here and want to actually see their own progress and their certificates. The only difference is if you have somebody with certificates that you cannot post them in LinkedIn in case you have this open on their behalf. So the admin has a very detailed view when it comes to actually looking at the user reports. Now, what other features do we have that are exclusive to the admin? Well, we have branch and group reports. Branches are usually the bigger entities, so let's start with them. And pretty much on the branch report, you can see the situation with the branches in your portal. So here we see in this portal, we have 4 branches, 46 users assigned to them, 137 courses assigned in total to all of our branches. 11 of these are completed and 18 are in progress. And here are my branches. So let's say we want to have a look at priority endeavor. I can just click on that. And indeed, I see the logo and the name of the branch. I also see the description of the branch here. And of course, again, I can see the activity out, and I can set up specific period if I want. But as with regards to the overview, now I have the timeline. Again, this is the history. In our case here, we're at the branch report. So this is the history of a branch. And I can see the users as well here. So I can see the different users that we have. Again, the custom user fields are present if you have them and you have them enabled. I can see the last login. Of course, you can use to sort these, so you know exactly what's happening in your branch. We also have the courses, and these are the total courses that we have in the branch. So I can see exactly what courses I have given. So this one, for example, 13 people are assigned to it, but only 2 have completed it. And generally speaking, reports in TalentLMS flow naturally from one to the other. So for example, if I'm looking at my users report and, I want to find out more about Winston, just click on their name, and suddenly you see I have been transported to a user report. So I don't need to go all the way back, go to my user reports, find Winston, click on his name to get the report. Very easily, I can just naturally flow from one type of report to another, just because it kind of makes sense. Also in the reports, I have group reports. These are very similar to the branch reports because essentially I see all the groups that I have in my platform. I have 12 groups. These are the amount of people I have. These are the completed courses. These are in progress. These are my assigned courses. And actually, this number looks kind of big, right? Do I really have 3,200 courses? No. But if a course has been assigned to multiple groups, then it's going to be added here. So maybe you have repeating courses across different groups, which makes a lot of sense here. And again, I can see the specific groups. So I see my sales one is kind of big. It has 153 people. So let's say I want to find out more about that. I just click on the name. And now I'm into the group report for sales. Here, again, I have the history, timeline. I have my activity that I can see. And as before, I have my users and I have my courses. Pretty much the same as before. A thing that is common with all the reporting across the board, though, in TalentLMS, and it's very important to note, as Irene said before, the ability to export is here. And I can export in Excel, or I can click and schedule a specific report to be sent via email. And this, of course, goes for group reports, but also goes with specific branch reports. And remember, if, let's say, I want a report on a Spanish branch here, I can click to see when I can set up for this to be either downloaded or scheduled, and the system is going to take care of this for me. Right. So these are basically the already standard reports that are available for admin. Irini covered the ones that are similar to the instructor, and I talked about those that are exclusive to the admin. But I think by now, probably, that's a lot of things we talked about. So Irini, do we have questions from the people? Is there things they want to know?
Yes, there is one question that comes from an anonymous attendee. When I schedule a report, how can I see all the reports that are scheduled and their recipients?
Ooh, that's a nice question. So since I'm sharing already, and let me answer. Now, there's a couple of different ways in TalentLMS that you can see your scheduled reports. One way would be, for example, to go into my branch report here. And let's say I want a report for this specific branch. Next to export, as we said, we have schedule. If I click on schedule, the system will be here to prepare me for scheduling this report. However, instead of scheduling this, I can click all scheduled reports. And this is going to show me all the reports that are scheduled in my system and when is the next time that this specific report is supposed to go out. But we want specifics. We just don't want to see that I have a report for my Spanish branch, which is going to go out on the 24th of June. So can I find out more about it? Sure. So this is a branch report for the Spanish branch. I'll go to my branch reports. Here's my Spanish branch. Again, I have export. Now, if I click on the little arrow, instead of schedule, it's going to show me when it's supposed to run next. So I see it runs weekly, and this is the next time it's supposed to run. So I can click on it, and I can actually see the frequency. Indeed, it is weekly every Monday. And here I can see the email. So these are the emails of the people that are going to receive this. So this is an easy way for you to get all your details if you have a specific report that is scheduled, not only when it's supposed to go from the system, so when it's going to leave the system and start going into the inbox of the recipients, but also if you want to find out specific recipients, this is the way to tackle this.
Great. And before you continue, we have a couple of questions that will be covered by what you will demonstrate next. But just to draw the attention here, Charlene and Tanya and our anonymous attendee, they're looking pretty much for reports where they can pull up results for any brands, for any time range, or they're looking for reports that they could pull out results by a group they have created. Or Tanya's question, we have several courses that are mandatory for all new hires. How do I get a report that shows all learners that have not done one or some of those courses? So I think that what you will demonstrate next will cover all these questions. So the floor is yours.
Oh, indeed. And again, thanks for asking these questions. Please keep them coming. So, indeed, as Irini mentioned, we have left a different type of report we have not spoken about yet. Custom reports. So the other types of reports are kind of predetermined, right? We tell our system, I want a report on my branches, on my groups, on a user, on a course, on a specific test. All of this makes sense. However, what if we want to determine the rules of a specific report? What do we want to control exactly what we're going to see in a report? Then you can use a custom report. And as a reminder, our custom reports are available from our subscriptions at Grow level and higher up. So let's see what we have here. Custom reports. There's a list already of the reports here, but we want to make our own. So I'll click on Add Report. I need to give it a name. Now, if you've been in other webinars with me as well, you will know I don't have a great imagination. I'll call it test. I call pretty much everything test here. And then the system asks you, what is this report about? Is it a report in regards to users or in regards to learning progress? These are both valid. You can have one or the other based on what information you need to get. If you want it to be about users, then the end result that the system is going to return to you is going to be users that meet specific criteria. If, however, you want to see how users with specific criteria handle or have performed, let's say, even better, within a specific course, then we're looking at a learning progress report. The idea, though, for structuring them is pretty much the same. So let's say that this specific one is going to be about users. And now you see the system is asking me for rules. Now, everything that I'm going to tell you about rules, a more condensed and simplified version can be found if you just mouse over the little eye icon here, and it's going to tell you more. And of course, it has a link to guide you to our relevant knowledge base article. So what are the rules? The rules are essentially the conditions I'm going to set up so that the people that show up in my custom report are the people I actually want to see. So I can click on add rule and add my first rule. So I have to pick my condition, and you're going to see here, there's actually a ton of possible conditions to pick from. And as you see, this is quite an extensive list, so you can pick a lot of different things. Let's start with something easy though, belong to branch. So I want users that belong to a branch. Which branch? I'll click here and I'll see all of my branches. So maybe I want people in my Spanish branch. But as you see, my cursor is still here flashing. Maybe I can pick a second branch as well, vendor supplier. Now, what happens here, and it's very straightforward. If I say bring me everybody in the Spanish branch, it is going to show me everybody in the Spanish branch. But what if I put 2 in here? Essentially, the way this works in TalentLMS, when you put more than 1 arguments in one box, these are OR statements. So these are alternatives. So if I actually put 3 branches here, this is going to give me either everyone on the Espanol branch, everyone on the Verdo supplier branch, everybody on the priority endeavor branch, or anybody who is maybe in these 2, or these 2, or these 2, or any combination of these 3 essentially. So it's going to give me a lot of possible things. So remember, more than our arguments in one box, these are OR statements, these are alternatives. What if I want to kind of be a bit more targeted? Instead of alternatives, I only want the people who are in my Spanish branch and in vendor supplier. So I only want the people that are in both of them. This argument, if I leave it like that, it's not going to give me this, it's going to give me more. So how can I narrow it down? Well, I can make a new line. So I can go here, use the same line again, belong to branch, and now I'm going to add vendor supplier. Every new line that you make in a custom report has to be true, has to be valid. So essentially, every new line you add is an AND statement. So this is going to give me everybody who is in the Spanish branch, but also in the same time, everybody who is in the vendor supplier branch. And both of these conditions have to be met. So both of these have to be true. So it's only going to show me people that exist in both of these branches. What else can you add? A ton of things, really. You can do negatives. Show me everybody except the people in this specific branch. So you can do that as well. But let's kind of do a more interesting one. So I'm going to go here and say to my system, give me everybody in any combination in these 3 branches. And I want some people in groups, belong to group. And the same idea as before, I'll get my new hires group, I'll get my marketing group, and I'm going to get my 2 sales groups here. So now I'm going to get people that belong to any combination of these branches, but must absolutely at the same time belong in any combination of these groups. And if I remember, somebody asked about specific courses. Well, very easily, add rule. And now let's say I want all of these people from these combinations of branches and groups that, and now I don't want to just go through this and search individually. I'm going to type course, and you see the system is going to just find for me the arguments that contain the word course. And actually I want people that have completed the course. So have completed the course. Which one? Let's say I want the people that completed my social media course. The business of social media marketing. I know it's very popular, so I must have a lot of people. And if I want to, I could put, for example, a time period in here, and I can say, hey, also show me all of these, but let's narrow it down to people that have logged in the last 90 days. Now, because most of the people here in my portal are not real people, probably they didn't log in. So I'm going to remove this argument. How many arguments can you put in your custom report? A maximum of 5 different rules. Once you settle on what rules you actually want, then you get to determine your output. Essentially, the output is what information is the system going to give to you. So what do I want to see for the users that meet this criteria? Probably their username, their email address. Do I care about their user type? I'm only interested in learners. If I'm interested in learners, I can go in here and add a rule. And again, I'm not going to search, I'm just going to type. So show me everybody that meets the previous criteria, but also is a learner. So this way, I reduce the clutter in my output. I don't want the user type here. I don't want the day they registered. Give me just the last day they logged in. I want to see how many courses they were assigned to, how many they completed. And also, you know what? Let's actually see their badges from gamification and their points from gamification as well. Now I'm ready. I click on Add Report. There you go. I found 9 people that meet this specific criteria. And indeed, you see their name, their email, the day they last logged in, how many courses they were assigned and how many they completed, their overall points, their badges. Now, this report is gone. Now, if I go back to my custom reports, here's the one I did just called test. I can click on the little pencil to edit it, or I can clone it, or I can delete it with the X, or I can click on the little arrow, and it's going to run again and give me real-time information. So remember, this is pretty much accurate, almost real time. So the moment something updates in my platform, it's going to show up if I run the report again. However, we're not done with the custom reports. Creating the rules, having the reports set up the way you want them to, this is amazing, but it's not all you can do. So if you remember, I ran this report, it came up with 9 people that meet my conditions. Super. As you see, I can export this, or I can click on the arrow and schedule it. But that's not all. I can actually perform mass actions, which basically means instead of performing any actions to all the people, I can take targeted actions only to the specific people that show up in this report. So in my case, I found 9 people. For these 9 people, I can send them a message, or I can deactivate, activate, or delete their accounts. I can add and remove them to a group, add and remove them to a branch, and enroll, or reset them in a specific course. So this is extremely fast and extremely handy when it comes to you handling a lot of people that meet the same criteria. As long as you can define this criteria and specific rules, not only you're going to get the results that you want, but in addition, you will have the option to address them with mass actions that are targeted to the people that meet your criteria. Very, very powerful, and definitely one of the most interesting features in TalentLMS, these custom reports. Now, Irini, I don't know if we have more questions about these custom reports here.
No, at the moment, I don't see any other questions. All of them have been answered, but of course, if you need help on setting up your custom reports with the data you're looking for, feel free to send us an email to success@talentlms.com. So we'll get back to you by following up on the rules that you need to add in your reports to get what you're looking for. Theo just added the email on the chat right now.
But we have more reports to show you, right? A couple of more things.
Yes, so let me share my screen really quick. And I haven't forgotten that I owe you something, and it's the training matrix report. I finally fixed it. So this is how the report looks like if you click the training progress report, sorry. So what we see is the overview, the training progress, where you can see in detail for each user, the progress with the course and the course name and the completion status, the tab of courses, where you can again see the assigned learners and the completed learners, the users, and the timeline. And this is how this report looks like. It's a really big report. That's why it will be sent out to your email, and it's not going to be downloaded. But apart from the ready-made reports that we already have in place for you and the custom reports, we have more. And I'm talking about the infographics. So if you want to share your data in a more understandable format with charts and bars and images, this is what the infographics do basically. They demonstrate data in a more understandable format. So when you click the infographics button here, you can see your entire training infographic with sections where you can see some insights like the participation or the engagement of the users, the section of users where you can see the number of learners and instructors, the completion course completion rate, the learning structures, how many groups you have, how many branches, how many tests, of course, the training time and the top 5 courses that learners have interacted the most, test pass rates, gamification results, of course, the library and some potential savings. And of course, this is the type of report that you can compare with previous infographics. So if you click here, you can compare it with the infographic of last month, last week, or last year. And of course, if you want to, you can click on the dots here to download it as a PNG image and include it maybe in a presentation. However, the infographic is the type of report that you can also customize because maybe you want to demonstrate data of a brand or of a group in a form of an infographic. So what you can do, you can click here, create new, and in this pop-up window, you will give your infographic a name and select the reference. You can do, as we said, the brands or a group infographic. So if I want to create a brands infographic, I will click here and select the brands. So let's say I want to do an internal infographic for the internal brands. And let's give this infographic this title, internal branch. You can also change the theme. So let's go to Mint, change the artwork. Let's go with method. And of course, you can also select the reference period. I'm going to leave it as it is. Click create infographic. And on the next page, you can edit the sections. For example, maybe for the users section, if you click edit, maybe you don't want to have the instructors or the admins. You just want the learners and the users. And maybe you want to change the theme a little bit. Let's say you want to add the light means for this section. Or if we go further down on the learning structures, maybe you're not interested of having tests or surveys or branches or groups. Maybe instead of surveys, you want to add the assignments and the videos and click update. So this is how you can also customize each section one by one. And when you're done, you will click this button here. And this is it, your own custom infographic about the internal branch. And of course, if you have created more infographics, you can access them through here. And as we said, the export button is available for you to download as a PNG image. Now, apart from the infographics, we also have the training matrix. And this might seem familiar because we've seen the unit matrix that will show you a quick look of the training status within the course. The training matrix will do exactly that, but in a bigger scale. It will show you really quick the training status of all the users within the entire system, within the entire list of courses you have. So here we have the list of courses, and here we have the list of users. And again, the different coloring will show us the status. Green for completed, red for not passed, orange for in progress, blue for not started, gray for not enrolled. And again, if you want to, you can definitely use the funnel here if you want to narrow down the results and filter by branch or by group. Now, on the failed and completed courses, what if you want to have the score available? Or for the in progress courses, what if you want to have the percentage? If you go here to the options button, you can enable this by checking these boxes. And of course, you can export this report and schedule it. As you can see, I have already scheduled mine, so you can see when the next run would be. And last but not least, the timeline. As you have seen in all the reports that we demonstrated today and in part one, there is always a timeline that works as the activity log of that report. Well, the timeline in this case is the activity log of your entire system. So If you want to follow up on the timeline of a user or a certain course, or if you want to keep track of a certain event, you don't need to access the respective reports and access the timeline. You can also do that from here, another shortcut for the admin. So all you have to do is just reset the time frame here, because you can also search really targeted with a period, with a certain period. And then all you have to do is just select the event or the user that you want to follow up, or the courses that you want to follow up. So for example, if I want to follow up of the timeline of a learner, I can simply select the learner through here and maybe specify the period, and I can see the entire list of your own activity. And of course, this is the type of report, the type of list that you can download as a CSV file. And I think that that's it from my end when it comes into reporting. And before we get into the Q&A here, if I'm not mistaken, I've seen somewhere in the Q&A that there was a question about branches and what a branch admin will have access to when it comes into reporting. So please, Nick, can you show us what a branch admin can actually see?
Absolutely. Let me share again my screen. And provided I have actually done everything the way I'm supposed to, you should be able to see it. So before I go into the branches, I want to talk about a question that Rod asked on the chat. And you mentioned you love training matrix and offer send this to your clients. However, usually the sorting order from left to right by course code would be very helpful. Completely understandable. As you see here, I know Theo already provided you with an answer, but I wanted everybody to see this in case you want this. So I have all my courses, right? And you see they're kind of labeled alphabetically. So we have a number, and then we have letters A, B, moving forward, right? You mentioned that you might want to see this course code instead. It's very, very easy. It's already here. Options, show course code. And now, if I actually have this selected there, course code, look, the order changed. So it's no more alphabetically. I have A, W, C, but now it sorts the courses based on my code. So 0001, again, I don't have a good imagination, so everything is kind of like that. 002, 003, 004, and these two that have the same code will go alphabetically, of course. So I know Theo already answered this to you, but I think that this I wanted to mention it pretty much for everybody. So with that said, let's talk about branches. So far, all the reports we have been seeing is from the admin side. But what happens within the environment of a branch? Now, as most of you already know, the branch is its own tailored training environment, which is independent. It can have its own look and feel, and it can have its own settings and users as well. So let's see what we can have as a branch administrator. I'll hop over here. I'll go to Priority Endeavor. And now I am within a branch. And of course, a lot of ways to know you are inside the branch. First off, you see that the coloring is different. So I have a different color scheme. The web address is different as well. My reports look to be pretty similar, right, as an admin. If I go in here, actually, there's only two missing. I am missing a branch report, and I'm missing the custom reports. Why is that? Well, if you think about it, the whole idea when you're creating branches is that you create this kind of independent training environments, which are essentially, they live in a determined place. So essentially, each branch is going to have its own users, and it's not visible to people outside of the branch. So it's a closed-off system where people from the outside cannot look into the branch, people from the branch cannot look out. So having said that, and taking into consideration that this is what a branch is, it makes a lot of sense if we don't want information from one branch to leak into another one. So I can get reports, but my reports are going to be targeted only to the things that I can see inside the specific branch. And of course, I cannot have branches inside branches. Therefore, it makes a lot of sense that I cannot get branches, a report on branches. Instead, my overall training progress is applicable is basically my branch report. So on the main side, my training progress was the overall platform report. However, in the branch, the training progress is the report specifically on this specific branch. The same logic applies to my custom reports, because the custom reports have a lot of ways to find users that transcend the boundaries set essentially by branches. And we don't want people who are branch admins to be able to see outside of their branch. Then this is why you do not have option to see the custom reports. However, for all the other reports, you can see pretty much everything you expect. And let me actually go back just to show you kind of the difference. If I go in my group reports from the main site, I have 12 groups. What happens if I go to the priority endeavor branch and I get a group report? I only see one group. Why? Because I have only one group inside this specific report, this specific branch, I'm sorry. So if I go back to my branch, I look at my groups, indeed, you'll see I only have one group. So essentially, the branch admin has access to reports only about the thing he knows about. Same thing is going to apply to my users. If on the main portal I can see 400 users, but here in the branch, I can only see, let's see how many, 17, then as an admin, if I'm going to go home and pull a users report, what am I going to see? 17 people, because these are the people inside the branch. These are the people that I know that exist. And a question that very, very commonly have different people asked of me, what happens with courses within a branch? It's very common that you might have one or multiple courses that are shared across different branches. What happens with the reporting? In that case, if let's say that a course was shared in our priority endeavor branch here, well, I would be able to see what happens with this course. I would be able to grab a report about this course. But for which people? Only how the people within my specific branch are performing here. So I see exactly that. So I hope this makes sense. Essentially, the branch administrator, in terms of reporting, sees what the main administrator sees, but they are limited to only their branch, so they don't get branch reports and they don't get custom reports. I want to see if we have questions from the people. I'm pretty sure there's quite a bit of questions.
Yes, there are a couple of questions that I have already marked to answer live. So I will share my screen and then I will pass the floor to you, Nick, to continue with the Q&A. Thank you, Theo, for all the good work you've done so far. So there is a question from Marta. Who says, we have a person who is now admin and who has also uploaded many courses in the tool. So he's an instructor of many courses. That person is going to leave the company. Should we do something with the courses he's an instructor of before he leaves? We want to be able to make changes in his courses. How do we proceed so that we can continue editing the course? Well, as long as you are an admin, if you go back into the dashboard and you click courses, as an admin, you have access to the entire list of courses that exist in your portal. So even if you are not the creator of that course, you can still access the course. For example, this course here, go to users and add yourself. So as long as I add myself in this course by clicking the plus button, of course, you need to change your role as an instructor. This will allow you to edit the course, even if the instructor that first created that course has left the company. So this is a quick method for you to access the course. If you're just an instructor, then in this case, you will need to ask your colleague to add you as an instructor to their own courses, or address your request to another admin so they can do simply just that, add you in those courses. I hope this helps. And now there is another question from Teresa. I need to pull up a lot of demographical data for students who take one course, information such as race, age, English skills, etc. Is there a way to build a custom report that would include this information of students who completed their courses? I have no branches or groups. I don't see any options for this type of information, yet most accreditations want this type of information. Well, a quick workaround that I can think of, definitely you can use the custom reports for that, is to create custom user fields with those information that you want to store on the user profiles. Just to show you really quick, if you want to create custom user fields, just click on the account and settings, go all the way down and click custom user fields, click the add button, give your field a name, for example, race or age, select the input method, and click visible on reports, click add field, and then you will end up having a list like this, and these fields will exist on your user profile so you can fill in those information. Then after you have created those custom user fields, you can go to the custom reports, click add report, and there is a rule here that says custom field. Have a specific value on a custom field. And this is how you can include the custom user fields that you have created into your custom report and pull out results. I hope that this will help. If this is something different that you're looking for, please send us an email to success@talentlms.com so we will get back to you. And another question before I pass the floor to Nick, there's another question from an anonymous attendee. On the top of the reports, it says assigned learners and completed learners. Can I click on that and see all the people who have completed the course? I assume that you are talking about the course reports where you can see the assigned and completed learners. I'm afraid that these are not quick buttons. They're just only here for statistics, just to give you a quick look of the total numbers you have in your portal. But this is definitely something that you can pull out with custom reports, like Nick demonstrated before. Now, Nick, would you like to continue? There are more interesting questions for you.
Sure. So let me share my screen then. And let's see what the people are asking. So I also see a question from Wolf. I hope I say your name correctly. Can we filter the courses in the training matrix? Not exactly. So what you can do, the training matrix, you can do a couple of different things. You have the ability to filter by users. So for example, let's say I would want to find out what Clay did. I could type Clay here and basically going to bring up all the information about Clay. So you could filter by users. Now, when it comes to filtering by courses, you can pick only the active courses to show up, and you can do the same for the users as well if you want. And you see I have these active courses, maybe also want active users. I can have both of these together. However, something that's actually pretty common is that maybe you want your training matrix to be filtered on a branch or a group level. You can do this again with the little filter here, and you can say, you know what, I want to see information for my priority endeavor branch. So pick that, and you see I'm going to see all the people in the branch and all the courses in the branch. So it's going to be a bit more targeted. And of course, I can apply active users and active courses as I feel like specifically here. I want you to remember that the training matrix is also available to the branch admin. So if I hop over to the branch and I become a branch admin, you'll see in my reports, I do have my training matrix, which is already pre-filtered for my specific branch, because remember, I cannot see outside of my branch, so I can only see within my specific branch. So branch admins have the ability already starting off to get a training matrix for the branch. Also here, because they're in the branch, they can pick only from the groups that they know exist. They have one group in this branch. Therefore, they can only see this specific information. So I hope this make sense, right? Now, let's see if we have any more questions here. This is very nice, actually. And this is not necessarily this specific question, but kind of, I have seen many people ask me a variation of this question. Is there a way to get a specific report to a team leader about their specific members? There's many ways to do that, and it would entirely depend upon your setup. So what is your setup? Are your teams branches? Are your teams groups? Are your teams groups within branches? Do you only care about 2 courses? So it depends on what you want to do. There is so many different ways to get to the results that you want. And this is always the case with reporting and TalentLMS because it's very, very powerful. So if, for example, your team is a branch, then probably your team leader is going to be your branch admin, right? So in that case, there would be a branch admin. Just make sure you give them the ability to check the reporting, and they can pull reports on pretty much everything they want. If they just want a high level visibility, just to check, in terms of compliance, how people are following with their courses, maybe the training matrix would serve them well. Alternatively, I know a lot of different clients prefer to have their groups represent teams within branches. If that is you, or maybe you don't use branches at all, then it is very possible that you want to get a report for a group. How you can do this? Again, multiple of ways. Depends on what you want to see. You could go to a specific group report. So let's find this one, for example, digital compliance. Could go in here, and I see the users and the courses and the history. If I'm interested in that, again, schedule, and this would just bring it over. And I could go in here, schedule it, adjust the custom recipient, put the email of the team leader for the digital compliance. That's one way to do it. Or maybe I would want a training matrix that is tailored to the digital compliance group. So I would go to my filter, pick digital compliance, and I could get it from here. Or if we're talking just about a course, very easy. You pick the specific course and you can send the report over. Or remember that besides sending the report over, maybe you also want to send, again, if you want the high-level option, maybe you want to have the unit matrix sent over if you just want to follow up again in terms of who is delivering there. Great. So I think this is pretty much all of our questions, right, Irini?
There is another quick one. We still have time, and it's from an anonymous attendee, and it says, is there a way to restore data that I have deleted, users, for example?
Ooh, that's also very interesting. So yes, there is. If you go into your reports, and you might think that you will want to do this from users, but remember, if you deleted somebody, you did it in the past, right? You didn't delete them this very second. So where do we go to check things that happened in the past? Timeline. So we'll go to the timeline, and here we're going to find essentially the history of our platform, of our account. Now, this is going to start with some predetermined dates. I don't want this. I want to make a broader search, but I want to find out deleted users. So I will go to the event, and look how many events you can actually pick. You see, there's quite a lot of events available for you. And I'm still scrolling, you see, a ton of events to pick. Now, I'm not going to go through them one by one. I'm just going to type, and here it is, user deletion. And now I see all the actions that were taken for people that were deleted. And I see I have 164 of them. And if I look at that, I can go as back as 2017. So it keeps everything from the beginning of time. Now you might notice Aaron Daniels has been deleted by Mary. And remember, this is going to show you from other people, not only from you, but also actions from other administrators or instructors based on what you're asking. So Aaron Daniels has been deleted by Mary. I don't have an ability to click on something here. However, this tester user was deleted by Theo. And in this case, I can undo it and permanently delete it. Now, is this because Theo is our friend here and he's answering in the chat? No, it's not because of that. So why do I have this option to undo the deletion for some people and I don't have it for some others? Well, the real reason is because if I go into this person, so let's say we go to Adele and I permanently delete Adele. Yes, I want to permanently delete her. You see, now this is gone. So I can bring them back. So essentially, if I permanently delete somebody, then I cannot bring them back. As easy as that. And it's not the time frame that has something to do with it. You see, I can bring back somebody from pretty much last year. So it's not a question of time. It's a question of permanency of deletion. So if that person was permanently deleted, then I cannot bring them back. If, however, they were not permanently deleted, I can click undo delete and I'm good. And I think that was our last question, right, Irini?
Yes, and that's a wrap. And thank you all for joining us today. And as we mentioned at the beginning, well, part one is already on our webinar page. And I'm sure that you will have more questions. So please feel free to send us an email to success@talentlms.com, and we will get back to you. And of course, we love to see your comments. So feel free to also respond on our survey link that Theo has just posted here on the chat. And with that said, I would like to thank you, Nick, for being here with me. And thank you all of you for joining us today. And Theo, of course.
Thanks a lot again to all of you. I hope this was helpful for you. We're always looking at your survey. Let us know what you think about this webinar.
And until next time, happy training.